You're a mystery to yourself. You don't know who you are. You have patterns of behavior and you're not even understanding that. You don't know why you're angry. You think you're angry because that person said something mean to you or did something wrong. But in fact, your anger probably stems from things from deep, deep within from your childhood. And you're not reacting to that person, but to actually your parents and what they didn't give you. So question yourself and imagine that maybe your ideas don't come from yourself. Maybe you're feeling some political anger or whatever comes from the fact that you're just assuming it from other people. You're following things on Facebook and you're getting swept up in some viral emotion. You want to think that you're completely independent and autonomous, but maybe you're not as independent as you think. So admit you have a problem. Admit you don't understand the people you deal with. Even your spouse or your children, they're mysteries to you. You don't really know what they're thinking. So admit that first. People fly me out to consult with CEOs, political people who are very powerful and even in other countries. And the number one problem I find that they have is an inability to understand the people they're dealing with. And they make terrible hires or they marry absolutely the wrong person for them in their lives. Their emotions or their personal relationship bring them down. So this is like our Achilles heel, and I think it's gotten worse in the world today, that people are so focused on technology, but that we need to focus much more on human nature, on understanding people. That's the primary skill that you need in life. The Chekhov story is great because Chekhov was born in Russia, in the most miserable village. His father beat him every morning, and his siblings were a mess. And he started becoming really bitter, like, why me? Why me? He suddenly got sick of this story in his mind. Maybe I need to look at this totally differently. He would try and understand his father instead of judging him. And he went through a process where my father was born a serf, his father beat him, he was never allowed to go into the kind of work that he wanted to. So no wonder he became an alcoholic who beat me. He can't help it. Instead of hating him, I'm going to try and love him for this fact of nature that can't help himself, but is my father for who he is. And it changed everything that came to him later on. The brothers had the same reality, the same world that they were looking at, the same family. The one person, Chekhov, got famous and successful. The others just descended into suicide and alcoholism. So your attitude will mean what you get in life. And I've experienced this myself. I hate to say it, but it was kind of a near-death experience. But my wife noticed I was acting very strangely. My whole body was weird. And I was basically kind of in a coma for about 10, 15 minutes. She called the ambulance right away. And if she hadn't called right away, I would have permanent brain damage right now, and I might not be alive. And I kind of freaked out. Like, what's happening to me? Where am I? What happened to my body? I'm a very independent person, very willful. I like to imagine myself like I can do anything I want. And suddenly I'm put in the position of being a baby, dependent on people to clothe me, to feed me. I can't walk very well. I have no control over my left side of my body. I wasn't an athlete, but I loved exercise. Not all of that wiped away. So what am I going to do? Am I going to start feeling sorry for myself? I had to accept that this is a fact of life, and how can I make it into something strong? How can I turn this into a positive? So if I got all bitter and railed against fate for making me who I am, for this stroke that ruined my life, that took away everything that I valued, I can't travel, I can't drive, I would become a different person. I would become somebody who limited my scope of activity. But by accepting it, by saying, I'm not going to let this happen, I'm going to accept it, I widen my scope of activity. I do things that I normally wouldn't do if I became all angry and avoidant and anxious. We humans normally go through life not accepting things. We want things to be different from the way they are. We want people to be different. We want this, we want that. And to Nietzsche, that meant you are anti-life. You are against life because life isn't like that. Life is a series of facts. Accept it for what it is. Stop whining and stop going, I want something else. I had to overcome my frustration, my lack of patience, my willfulness, The fact that I always have to do things myself. And then I had to confront the fact that I could easily have died, but I didn't. I'm alive, so I can learn from this. I'm learning a lot. And I'm going to rebuild my body. I'm going to rebuild it. I've come a long way, so like a month ago, I was pretty bad. I'm able to walk now fairly well. In 4 months from now, I'm going to be swimming again. In 6 months, I'm going to be jogging. I'm going to be back to where I was. Nothing will stop me. But I have to overcome all of my deficiencies and all of these weaknesses that I have built up over the years. Your attitude towards life will determine what you get. So how can I alter my attitude? And it's a struggle every single day. Embrace your world, your life. That knowledge about who you are is an end in itself and will help you in so many ways become that human being that I think we all have the potential to become.